3. Yeah. Woo. Man, I love this song. Hey, it's BT with Tales from a Gemini. Man, and this is, I was telling why. Well, you normally tape this show on Wednesday afternoon, about, noon Eastern time. And for this guest, he said, I couldn't do it that time, but how about, I said, about Friday? He said, yeah. And there's something about a Friday that is just special. And it's kind of apropos or par for the course because this next guest is special. I mean, and I say this because, everybody, and I understand if you're just I hate to say regular person, but, you don't really know comedy and, you know all the big names, Kevin Hart or Sebastian Maniscalco, or, this and that. And there's people like my next guest who literally is one of the best in the business. He's done it all. He's been to every comedy festival, Just for Laughs, which is one of the best for the best comedians. He's been to that festival. I met him at the Aspen Comedy Festival. He's been a head writer for award shows. He's done everything in this business. And from inside the business, we all know him, but I want the rest of the world to know he is one of the best, and he's also one of my best friends, Mr. Billy D. Washington. How you doing, B?
Yo, BT, what's up, man? Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Those accolades are so incredible for the 40-second comedian that you brought on here, your show, man. I appreciate that, man. I was like, hey, man, you know what? We was going to have on a Domino's guy today, but he ain't ready because he's on pepperoni detail. So let's see what Billy is doing. Hey, man, them dudes at Home Depot, they got work to do today. So you know what? Let's see what Billy is up to. No, bro. No, seriously, man. I appreciate it. And the sentiment is shared. We often talk about how much, how unappreciated, I don't know if it's unappreciated, but how undervalued we are just in terms of like this stand-up comedy thing. Because I was telling somebody the other day, like when people talk about like black people standing on the shoulders of black comedians, like we were the first sort of mainstream like acts, like black people. We were in that wave of black performers that really started to do mainstream clubs. Because everybody would book the no name white dude. The no name white dude was working every week, but just in terms of like, but the thing is, we had to have even more critics than the no name white dude in order to get the same sort of respect that he did. And and guys like me and you and Lou and Vince and guys like Kyle Grooms and guys and other guys of that ilk, like we were the first guys to be able to really work mainstream clubs on weekdays. And like the urban acts that are doing them every now, the urban acts that occupy all the big club comedy schedules now, those dudes were doing Wednesday nights and Sunday nights. And I don't, and no shade towards any of those dudes. I get the business aspect of it. I get it from a club's vantage point, and I get it from their vantage point. But they just don't know that we were kind of the lab rats for that experiment. Yeah. They were like, okay, can we have these black dudes in here, and then whatever. But we worked those clubs for years before any of them got in. And then now that they're in, I just think that I wanted to say that to you because you were one of those first dudes that was on everybody's flyer, that was on everybody's schedule. Even before the internet, you call a club, you're like, yeah, who's working there this weekend? Hey, BT is working there. So, shouts out to you, man, because, we'll never get outstepped you for being those guys, but as long as we know.
Well, it's weird because we got into this like real quick. So I was gonna work up to it, but since we're there, might as well go for it, man. It's like, seriously, it's like I was gonna warm up with a couple warm up rounds, like Mayweather, and then get into it about the fourth or fifth. But now we in it. Let's get it. It's like, did you feel? Especially coming. It's cool to look back on it now, but coming up in it, I remember we got. At least for me, that Def Jam period was just coming in. And I'm so far removed from Def Jam. And as you, but even though you were on the show, you kind of are removed, from that kind of comedy. You know what I mean? At least back then. And people don't understand, man. It was like, there was no gray line. It was like you were the Def Jam comic or you weren't. And if you went into the worst, if you if you went into, say like myself, I'm used to mainstream
Yeah.
or so, quote unquote white clubs, and you go to and get that urban night as they call it, and man, they would eat my ass off. And it was a weird
Yeah.
situation. I'm looking back on it now, like to navigate through those rooms and to do the urban rooms and the mainstream rooms, man, how did you do that so flawlessly without compromising your values? Because you never switched up. Where me, I had to, I guess, catch up and I had to write differently, which I thought was good. It made me work a different muscle. So how did you do that without compromising? Because you did the same act regardless, and it went over. And that's what was so beautiful about you. You stayed the same and you never changed. You never added a word here to make it sound more quote unquote urban.
Well, let's not get it twisted. Uh, nah, bro, I'd have like that Def Jam period was probably like the most lucrative time of my career, but it was also, the most difficult time of my career. Because okay, let me give you a little history, and I'll apply it to what was going on in the world during the mid '90s. So during the mid '90s, so it was Def Jam. So I'm associated to this hip hop movement. Well, I've never been a hip hop dude. I never had anything against it, but I grew up in, my dad's a preacher, grew up in a super religious household. I listened to 60s soul music, and I played classical music. And when I got over, I just gravitated more to like mainstream stuff. And it wasn't like white music or whatever, but it was just like the stations that it was just the music that I liked more. So I never felt like this true connection, like to the hip hop generation. Do I love it? Of course I do. Do I respect it? Of course I do. But I was never connected to it. Now, couple that with during the mid '90s, that's when crack was infiltrating this country, right?
Right.
And then you had these drug dealers that were all over the country, and they figured out that having comedy shows was a great way to launder money, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what would happen is like you wouldn't have like if I did a regular club
Yeah.
and people came out to see me and black people came out to see me, it's cool because that template is consistent. It's going to be the same music. It's going to be a professional atmosphere. You're going to have pretty much mainstream hosts and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I close it at the end. And then so the black people sort of see me within that environment, which is great.
Yeah.
But when it came to, people wanting to pay me stupid amounts of money, people wanting to pay me $7,000 to come and do 45 minutes at at some club in Detroit. Mind you, I had an agent. I wasn't talking to these dudes. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I'm gonna go. I didn't know that when I went down that people was gonna be picking me up in limousines with walkie-talkies, smoking with the driver smoking weed, right? Didn't know this. I knew my hotel was nice. I'm like, you know what? A 5-star hotel is a little bit unreasonable for me, but I'm just gonna roll with it. I didn't know that when I got to the gig, that their idea of a comedy show was a DJ playing the most gutter music available in the country with people dancing and getting drunk 2 hours before I was gonna go on stage. I did not know this. So when I did those gigs, when I was around those people, and I don't mean know those people because those people are my people too.
Right.
I just wish that that I could have been more of a spectator than the than the spectacle, because then they bring my lightning britches ass up, to do, they want me to connect with this hip hop generation. They want me to be able to appeal to this sort of, this hierarchy of the drug community and whatever. And I'm doing my thing. And to put it lightly, it didn't go so well sometimes. And bro, and BT, I had a lot of these gigs. Man, where they were just like I remember I had a fax machine back in the day. And every time at first when I hit a fax machine jump off, I would get excited because I would know it'd be an offer, it'd be an audition or whatever. But after a while, like after I did the third Def Jam, when that fax machine would go off, man, I'd be terrified because I look at the money versus what I'd have to endure. And when it was a promoter show, like if it was a club, I was always excited because
Yes.
no matter at the clubs, I always won.
Yes.
But like when you get those promoter shows, they put comedians up in front of you. They ain't never done it before. They're doing the best of everybody else, whatever. And then you get up and you try to do your little original thing, and it just wasn't happening. It just
Man,
was not happening.
people don't realize. I mean, looking back on it, it's funny. Looking back, when you're in it, I mean, it's almost like military. When they talk, they said, remember that one. I remember being in Da Nang. I remember being in in Vietnam. Yeah, man, we were in that shit, bro. And
Bro, we were in it.
and during that time, oh, I just remember, man, like I just remember like crowds being quiet, or you going at it with people, and you going out the back, or waiting until everybody left, make sure that dude wasn't waiting for you in the parking lot.
Yeah. No, dude, I use the analogy sometimes. Like I tell people, like as great of a basketball player as Michael Jordan
Yeah.
was, you can't say just because he's an athlete, saying funny is funny. It's like saying if Michael Jordan can play basketball, he can play anything. We saw what that nigga did playing baseball. Him playing baseball is like what I was in that room. Hey, bro, when it comes to other rooms and whatever, and I'm not talking about black people. People say, other people go, hey, man, you don't relate to black people. Of course I relate to black people. Everything that I talk about is basically my black experiences.
Yes.
But the thing is like, you can't put me in an environment that I'm unfamiliar with people that have experiences that I can't relate to. Like I can't relate to going to jail and being on government cheese and welfare and whatever.
Yes. Yes. And that's why, and honestly, that was the hardest part, because I couldn't be something I wasn't. I mean, I tried to wear Timbos and try to fake it for a little bit. You know what I mean? And you've heard the Timberlands I bought just to fake that for a little bit, but it didn't.
Oh my God!
And that's why, honestly, you came up with this. I was lucky to be part of it, but you came up with the Sellout Comedy Tour. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, honestly, it's like, it's like being a Tuskegee Airmen. I mean, what we did. I mean, what you did. Because I'm gonna tell people right now.
No, it's we. It's definitely we.
No, it was you. Because I just remember being in a hotel room in Detroit at a Red Roof Inn, which is one step above a Super 8 and a Motel 6.
Which is one step up from a gulag. But go ahead.
I just remember looking at my notebook going, man, where the hell is this going? And I was just kind of depressed. And I get this phone call. And I tell you this all the time. And all I heard from that phone call was, hey, man, I got this idea. And, man, from then on, I was with it. And we came up with the Sellout Comedy Tour. For those of you unaware, and I want you to tell what the Sellout Comedy Tour was about, because I want you to tell these people what it was about.
Oh, yeah, it was about the like basically what I explained. Like we were in this like really precarious position, whereas we wanted to perform. We went where the money went.
Yes.
Like when we started, it was all the money was just in white spots. Like there was no black comedy sort of place to develop in Houston, but there were plenty of white places to develop, right? And so what they did is they sold you on a program, or they sold you on a template that if you follow this, then you could do this, you can make this much money, you can do whatever. So we ended up doing that. It wasn't our choice. It's just what was available. It just was what was available to make money. So we started working these white clubs, quote unquote white clubs, whatever. Black people are there, but at that time, let's be real, black people wasn't really fooling with comedy clubs like they're doing right now.
Yes.
So we ended up working all these white clubs, but then when we would do like the black venues that I mentioned, like because I was hot off this, I was like kind of at the end of these Def Jam dates and whatever, and people doing whatever. I'm not gonna say that I bombed all of it. Man, I may have like really bombed maybe 3 times out of about 30 gigs, but this is on a scale from 1 to 10. Like if I did like a 6 or a 7, I was happy. Yeah. So what I thought, I survived. So what I thought would be cool is I just wanted to put together people that were just like me, comics that were just like me, who I knew that were about the culture, who I knew that was woke, who I knew that had a voice, who I'd seen in white room be their authentic selves and say, hey man, let's throw this up against the wall and see if it sticks, and let's call it sellout. Let's call it sellout because that's what people say. People want to call us sellouts. Meanwhile, we can articulate more about the Black movement than the people that are actually saying that. It's like, what have you done in pursuit of your Blackness that supersedes what we've done? And nobody can ever answer that question.
What? But you mentioned woke. No, we were around before that word even came up, or conscious,
Right.
or whatever. I mean, we were
Right.
woke before woke was popular. We were conscious or whatever. So it's like, and that's the thing about how did you navigate that being yourself? Because we've all worked those clubs to where you mentioned, you start talking about this quote unquote woke stuff before it was woke, and white club owners are like, hey, could you not do that one joke or this and that? Like, how did you feel about instances in that about like that? When you talk about, let's say the police shootings or whatever, because this has always been around, and so you start, and it's maybe a pro-Black tip or whatever situation may be. Sometimes club owners be like being uncomfortable. Hey, could you not do that one joke or this and that? Like, how did you always maintain that level of consciousness and not compromising your values?
Well, because when I started doing comedy, my specific purpose, and this is why sometimes it's hurtful when the Black community starts looking at their phone when I'm on stage, is because the only reason that I am who I am is not because I want to impress you, it's because I want to make you proud of me. It's like, because when I grew up, man, like I grew up in comedy, I would see white comics, they would talk about these Black stereotypes, right? Oh, well, once you go white, then your credit is right and whatever. Oh, and the only time Black dudes would get credit for anything would be for having big penises and whatever. And so I would see them, and I wanted to be not only did I want to be the counter to that, but I wanted to beat them at their own game. Yeah. Just because from the time I was a kid until the time I was adult, I always feel marginalized in the presence of white people. I always felt like they felt like that they were better than me. So like when I went on stage, I always had to feel like that I was going to do something that was better than whatever everybody else did on stage. And no matter what happened, I was going to be the most interesting person in the room. And that's why sometimes this sticks in my head. And it's weird. I've never said this out loud. But one time I was doing a Black show. And then after the show, this girl came up to me and she said, on stage, sometimes I feel like you think that you're better than regular Black people. Nah, bro, I don't do anything that illustrates that I'm better than Black people. But the reason that she felt like that is because I've spent so many years trying to like be better than these audiences that I'm portraying this character that's better than these white audiences that I'm in front of. And I guess like somehow that's bled over into what I do in front of. And it's not the material. It's just like this confidence that I try to exude when I'm in front of them, because I don't want them to think that I'm scared. I want them to know that I can talk about anything they can talk about. I want them to think that I'm just as intellectual as they are. I don't want them to think that I'm going to be subscribing to these same Black comedy tropes as everybody else is. And so like when the painful part was when I would do that in front of Black people, I'd be like, man, I want y'all to know, bro, like y'all be proud of me. Like I'm fighting over there. Like you over here in this choir, right? But I'm over here killing it over there. But when I come back here, I'm one of the best over here. But when I come back over here, I don't get appreciated for it. And then that's why that was the genesis of the idea.
And how frustrating was that for you? I mean, did you ever leave like going, they don't get it? Or what am I not getting? I mean, was it frustrating for you to be that way? Because I know sometimes I would be in my head like, Jesus, like after a show this dude, I think it was when I was coming up to rock and roll and talking about, what I was talking about. And this guy was like, yeah, man, I know why you have to do that kind of material. I go, no, I actually really like rock and roll. You know what I mean? Like, I mean? No, that's really what I like. I really like racing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and you said it so great when you go, man, I love my people. I do. I really do. And I think it's better now. I think now is a great time in comedy because I just feel like, and I was talking about this with my producer. I said, you know what? If you don't watch the news, it's actually a better world. if you don't watch it. Because if you go out in society and those people who we're supposed to be warring with or at each other's throats, if you sit down and have a conversation with them, man, granted, there are that little 1% that you go, okay, but for the most part, people will have a conversation. I mean, they might be full of shit, but they'll have a conversation with you. And it's not as bad as people think. But man, there were times where I was like, "What aren't they getting?" I mean, is it me? You know what I mean? I mean, how frustrating was it for you?
Well, I mean, it was super frustrating for me because, like, just in terms of like, I didn't have the black clout, but I had the black stats. Hey man, I did Def Jam 3 times. I did BET. I toured with Aretha Franklin. I did the Boule gigs. I did the Jack and Jill gigs. I grew up in a black household. My father is a black preacher. My wife is black. Like, I mean, I checked all the black boxes, but then they judge me based on making them think. People go, hey man, we don't want to come to comedy club. We want to come to laugh. We don't want to come to think. Then I don't get that. But if that's your prerogative, then okay. So what you said earlier, there's no answer to that. That's a zero-sum game. Is it their fault or is it my fault? Who knows? All I know is that when I was younger, I blamed them. But the older I get, I go, you know what, man, I got a responsibility to figure this out without me, quote unquote, dumbing it down. I got to get this figured out. And so when I really stopped caring about it, when it really stopped mattering what they thought, and I just wanted to be like who I am on stage, and they like it, cool, and if they don't, when the desperation started to cease, because you remember the desperation. You remember being on stage, on side of the stage going, you wasn't saying, man, I'm gonna get up there and kill these motherfuckers. You was on stage going, man, I'll be glad when this shit is over. Let me just get this shit over with. If I can just start off, if I can just get some momentum with these first couple of bits,
yes,
then I got them.
Yes.
But if he puts the mic in the mic stand too hard, and I got to struggle getting the mic stand out, and that diverts their attention for that many milliseconds, then the shit is over.
Yeah. You know what, man? It's like, to me, it was like fighting Mike Tyson in the 80s. If you just survived all 12 rounds, you go, hey, that's a victory for me. I mean, that's what it was like. It was like, and listen, I want to put you on the spot. Can you tell the St. Louis story? I want people to hear the St. Louis.
Oh, bro, I tell it's a cautionary tale. I'll tell you the medium length version of the story, because you know the long version of the story. So I was on the Def Comedy Jam tour, right? Feeling myself. So I'm with the Def Comedy Jam tour. So I'm telling you about templates, right? So when we go, the first couple of dates that I do, they're at fancy theaters, right? We're at this really fancy theater in Tampa. We're at a fancy theater here in Houston. I go up, I crush, because us, when we out and we in some place fancy and nice and whatever, we're gonna be on our best behavior. That's what up. That's what we do. So that's what's up. That's what we do. So I'll get ready to go to St. Louis. I'm thinking, you know what, man, I'm getting ready to go. Now mind you, I'm on tour with Guy Torrey, Joe Torrey, and we switch it out with Adele Givens, with Tommy Davidson, with Talent, with Tracy Morgan. Like, we switching it out, every week. So I get ready to go to St. Louis, and the weekend before, it was a Saturday show. Friday, my manager had called me and told me that that I got this deal, that I got the VH1 deal. Then I this VJ spot on VH1 and whatever. So I'm fired up about it. I'm like, okay, cool. The career's gone great. I just mashed in front of these fools, whatever, So I decided I was gonna go to St. Louis and I was gonna wear me some a flannel shirt, some tight jeans, and some cowboy boots, because I was feeling myself, bruh. I get there and it's the Fox Theater, right? Now, mind you, I go into this thing confident. I don't even think about this gig. It's like sometimes you go ready to do that one gig and you think about it like 2 weeks. Like, as soon as you book it, you start stressing out until you finish it, and then you're like, why was I tripping? Like, I didn't even think about this gig. I was like, man, I got this. This ain't, but I might, I'm just gonna go out and do my Billy D.
Yeah.
I get to the Fox Theater, and first of all, when I got there, I knew something was amiss when I smelled weed wafting from the walls of the Fox Theater I think they're smoking weed inside the theater. If the weed was wafting from the, okay, cool. I get in the back and whatever. Joe Torre, amazing as he is, Joe Torre can do it. Joe Torre is from St. Louis. Now, this is 3,500 people. I don't know where these 3,500 people came from, but I am relatively sure that a lot of this 3,500 people had parole officers with them. So Joe gets up. Joe gets ready to do his thing. Goes out. First of all, first time the show started late. We got this DJ. We had DJs on other shows. They were more commercial DJs. They played everything. They played all the good music. What they played? I wonder where I've been. That was other time. Not to let you know, man. We got this boy. It was straight up, kill a nigga, die. It was just like everything was like dead hip hop, murder hip hop. DJs on the stage sweating. I'm like, okay. Joe starts the show. First time I heard Joe have some problems. Joe was always seamless. He get up, do the thing. Joe was in his hometown. Joe trying to do the thing. He started getting booed a little bit. But then Joe goes in on him. Joe goes in hard, like talking about getting him back, doing what Joe does. He's going into his bag. It ain't like the other shows. He ain't have to go in his bag. On the other show, he just came out, popped his muscles, breezed up, whatever, do some cute little material, bring on the next dude. No big deal. Here, he in his bag. Okay, so then Guy comes up. Guy's from there too. Guy is smart. Guy says, start shouting, call out high schools, right? Hey, who from this high school? Who from that high school? Your high school ain't shit. That high school ain't that. I fucked the bitch that high school. You know this bitch, whatever. So he ended up getting them. Me, I didn't have a strategy. I'm just going out there in my tight jeans and my cowboy boots. Like pretty much everybody got on black, Tim's, whatever, some jersey and shit, some, Bro, I get out there, and first of all, it's the house level is high when I get up there, like the mumble level.
Yeah.
So they were trying to do my little cute shit. I started with my little no, I'm basketball player joke, my little roach joke and shit. Then, bro, it's like they responded the same way at the end of my joke as they did at the beginning. It was like the punchline never even showed up. So then I started going to some more stuff, and then I heard a couple of boos. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, am I about to get it? So then I keep going with the joke. I kind of mess up the joke a little bit, started booing some more. Man, and so on the front row, there was this really curvy black woman. This
nice. Nice.
Yeah, this really curvy black woman
full figure.
was on the front. Right, full figure. Yeah, exactly. Black woman on the front row. And she yells off the stage, "Get off the stage, motherfucker, you ain't funny." And then I just snapped because she attacked my ego because I'm feeling myself. And then I go and I quote, "Shut the fuck up, you fat ass black bitch." Now, when I said that, I did not realize, I didn't have the forethought to scan the audience to see how many fat ass black bitches were in it. And apparently the number was overwhelming. So at that moment, they started hating me. So what I did is I figured, I play the keyboard. I go, man, I'm gonna get this keyboard and I'm gonna get it back. Now, mind you, I remember turning my back, walking back to get my keyboard, feeling like I might get shot in the back at any moment because at this point it's chaos. Like, you bombing hard when you see all the comics in the wings. They looking just to see what's gonna happen next. I mean, the dude that was supposed to be down in security in the audience was in the wings looking to see what's going to happen. So I grab my keyboard and I get ready. I start playing. They start to be quiet a little bit. And then I do the Lionel Richie. I do the hey ho, where they always laugh. Yeah. And it was a moment of silence. It was the calm before the storm. And then when they didn't laugh, bro, a tsunami of boos. Now, I don't know about comedians telling boo stories, but I know, guys, you may get booed. They're getting booed by 25 people, okay. Right. You get booed by 100 people, okay, that's bad. But bro, when you have never felt like literally the sweat on your nuts until you hear 3,500 people boo to a point where you think that they want to murder you. So I walked up the stage, man, in the middle of the thing. Joe came back on, and what happened is that was a pivot point because that was the lowest point of the show. Joe comes back up. Joe cussed him out. He's like, "Hey, man, that's why we can't bring no shit to St. Louis." In Joe Torre's credit, he comes back out. He's like, "Hey, man, that's why we can't bring shit to St. Louis. Y'all niggas don't know how to act. This is a class act. He doing his thing. Da 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 da. Whoop de whoop de. Clap it up for Billy Washington." And then they start clapping sarcastically. Okay, so the show goes great. Talent gets up and kills. Adele gets up and kills. Tommy gets up, has a little bit of a tough time, but at the end of it, he still killed. So the worst part of the whole night was at the end of the show, they bring everybody else up, for the curtain call. I'm like, nigga, come on, man. So they bring everybody up, and I know somebody told Joe to save me for last. So they clap for everybody, and they bring me up. And to their credit,
I didn't know about this part. This part.
Yeah. To their credit, have you ever seen like on American Got Talent when you don't really know if the audience likes them or not, where there's just as many boos as there was as applause? Yeah. That's what I got. It was very polarizing. Nobody knew I didn't know what was going to happen. The people that liked me, they stood up and started clapping for me. Other people were pulling them down from clapping and booing. So yeah, man, so that night was one of the inspirations for the Sellout Comedy Tour. It's like, man, if you guys would just listen to us and, now, if we could just talk for a little bit, like, just give me a minute to, can I just prove my case to you before you decide you ain't gonna like me? Take off them cowboy boots, nigga. I'm like, bro, come on now.
This is funny now, but when you're in it, that thing, it eats at your craw. Like, I still wake up to this day and think about the gig in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The worst shows, and they stay with you forever. The gig in Florida State, man, it went bad. I mean, they always stay with. How did you get over a bad show? How did you get over those? Like that one, like St. Louis. How did you get over that one?
Because I had to eat, man. I mean, the money always supersedes the ego, Like, if I was independently wealthy, like if I had money, like if they'd give me like a $300,000 signing bonus for VH1, I probably would have never done comedy again. I probably would have taken that money. I'd have done that stuff and whatever. Yeah. But bro, I had to eat. Yeah. And ironically, I don't know if I told you this either, but I was scheduled to be back in St. Louis a month later at an Army base. And you talk about PTSD prior to that show. But I got back on the thing, did the show. The show went great. And this is going to sound like a cliche, but I bullshit you not. And I was like, after that was over, man, like that shit was over, I felt like I wanted to cry. Yeah. Bruh, I was like, okay, the monkey's off my back. Yes. Everything is cool. Everything around me was white noise. And then this guy just came out of nowhere. He walked up to me. He was like, "Hey, man, ain't you that dude that got booed at the Fox Theater a month ago?" And then it all came rushing back. And he didn't shake my hand or nothing. I thought he was going to go, "Yeah, man," I said. He went, "Here, I thought that was you." And he kept walking. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is the universe. But no, dude, it's like if you got to make that money, it's just like war, man. And I don't say that to diminish, because war is a lot more serious. I mean, like metaphorically, it's like war. It's like if you lose that battle, you can't be like, "Man, I ain't doing this no more." Yeah. You got to keep pushing, dude. I had kids to feed, man. I got a family. I had a mortgage at that time. I couldn't be like, "I'm not gonna do these gigs no more." And they kept shooting me them high-paying ghetto gigs, man. And I kept going in, swinging, taking these L's and whatever. And it made me a stronger comedian. So eventually I kind of got it figured out. I figured out a cool 5 minutes at the beginning of it to be able to get them to usher them into the material that I normally do. Yes. And therefore I would survive. It made me because when I do crowd work in white crowds against hecklers, it's like really mean. It's like really hard and just like go hard. Yes. But like in black crowds, I realized during that point, you can't do that. You can't go that hard on people that just don't know what they're supposed to do in that situation. Like when they're in social situations like that, a lot of people ain't never been to a comedy club before. And then you take my family. I'll say that. man, my family has said shit at my shows. And I'd be like, I want to say, man, will you shut the fuck up? But I can't do that because it's my family.
Right.
So I don't do that. So what I try to do is, which is the cardinal sin in any other scenario. But you just try to work that in, make them feel good about it, tell them you doing the jokes and whatever. But it just, for the people who can do it and do it well, that's why I admire guys like Mike Epps. Dude, I love Cat Williams. I'm not even talking about the super commercial dudes. I think Cat Williams, let me tell you this, man. I think Cat Williams is perfect exactly who he is. Yes. Flaws and all. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he was talk about how he hurt himself in Hollywood and this, that, and because of who he is. I think who he is makes him bigger than Hollywood. I think it makes him bigger than all that, man, because I wish that I could be able to package that type of intellect within that type of vibe and do what he does. Because she said some shit that it's like, hold on a second. If a white dude was saying this shit, you would have that he'd be on every talk show in America just talking about that.
Yes.
But since it's Cat Williams, you dismiss it because of the package. But the package is what I love. And that's the dude. It's like he is kind of supplanted, and this is going to be a powerful statement right here. He is kind of supplanted Eddie Murphy in my top 5. Cat Williams had.
Wow. That is saying something. You serious?
Yeah. He has replaced Eddie Murphy in my top 5. Cat Williams has.
And why is that?
Well, because I was always a fan of Murphy's vibe, but he's only done basically 2 sets. Like, so we don't know what the consistency. We don't understand like who he was as a comedian. Like these other comics, like Richard Pryor and George Carlin and George Lopez is in my top 5.
I love George Lopez.
And you know what I mean? And Mitch Hedberg. They have a body of work, but it's like for me, I feel like if Eddie's gonna turn his back on stand-up comedy, then why do I keep putting this nigga in my top comics list?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, sure, he's the reason a lot of us did it, but I just feel like, just in terms of the impact of it, just in terms of the art of it and the overarching things of everything that we do, the Cat Williams, to me, on my Mount Rushmore, he's taking the place of Murphy.
I tell you, it was funny you say Eddie Murphy, because I remember, and I was reading a bio about you or something, and you said something, man, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. You said, I realized, and I'm paraphrasing here, the first part, but I got the second part right. You go, I realized at a certain age or whatever that I wasn't going to be the next Eddie Murphy. And and honestly, it sounds like nothing, but man, it hit me hard because I think we relate to Eddie because he was closer to our age group at the time, and we saw that meteoric rise. That because I remember being in high school, and his special came on that Saturday on HBO, and that Sunday everybody was like Goonie Google. It's all everybody, and I was like, "What are you guys talking about? We need to watch it." Like, what are you guys talking about? Goonie Google. And I was like, "What is?" And so we saw that because he was only like about maybe 5 years older than us, so we could relate to that. And it was like, and when you said that, it hit me hard because I was like, wow, because there's a time, and people don't realize this, and that's what I respect about you. First of all, you can't place you in a box, which is beautiful. I mean, you're not, just calling you just a comic is an insult, because people don't realize you've done plays. I think over 14 plays. He's got critically acclaimed short movies, short films, that have been critically acclaimed. Bro was one of them that oh my God, if you get a chance, see the movie Bro. It's a short film by Billy. It's incredible. You've also done, you were like a head writer for an award show. You can't place you in a box. I mean, like I said, you play piano at your church. You have done everything, and you continue to do everything. You write screenplays. You write plays. Now, in addition to the comedy, it's like you can't place you in a box. And what I love about Billy and being around you is that you see that creativity. And sometimes, I don't want to hurt your feelings, sometimes it doesn't work, but you have to let you go. You know what I mean? It's like, It's like Jordan. If you're down by 20, hey man, let him go. You know he's gonna shoot. Yeah, like, as my friend said, he's gonna shoot till he gets hot, and that's you. And
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
your creativity, man, is the greatest thing. But like I said, you can't put you in a box. You can't put Baby in a corner, and you can't put Billy D in a box because man, what you do is so eclectic and so everything. Your jokes are non sequitur. It's just everything. You have everything, and this is the question I want to pose to you: is that not to hurt your feelings, but I just remember seeing you at a Champs restaurant in Indianapolis, and it was in the summertime because I remember that because I had the I remember everything about this man, and because I thought you would achieve this level of boom, you were gone, and I saw you. It was a Chance meeting, and I remember asking you like hey man, what happened with this gig or whatever, and it was like because our careers have ups and downs. I just remember you like, yeah, just and you had a look of like, yeah, I kind of like it's not there. It's not there, and it's not going the way I want it to go. And that's just the vibe I got from you. But man, you've navigated the waters, and so I want to ask you, man, is like during all this, what do you think your greatest asset is as a performer or entertainer? Because that's what you are. You're an entertainer. Like I said, you're not in a box. You're not just a comic book. What do you think your greatest asset is? The writing, the directing, your piano playing?
By far, hey man, thanks for saying all that crazy stuff. I wish you were on my podcast, and I wish we had another hour because if I know you were going to go here, instead of the time I took to tell that story, I would talk about how like when I first saw you in Aspen, and like everybody was like, the buzz was come watch this dude BT because this is gonna be the dude. This the next dude to go. Remember that phrase? Everybody be like, you be at the Comedy Store, be at the Laugh Factory or whatever. You be around a bunch of comedians. You'd be like, okay, that's the next dude to go. You came to see BET. I saw you at Aspen. I was like, okay, I didn't know what I was going to do. And you were on stage before I was. And when I saw you, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be that good. So hopefully I can do something that they like. And then I remember afterwards, I saw you walk around with some big ass fur coat on. I was like, man, this dude is already a star. He got this big mink and whatever. Now, first and foremost, I feel the same way about you and everybody that knows you. Dude, you constantly reinvent yourself. Like everybody sitting around the pandemic, doing this, that, and the third, relaxing on their laurels, feeling sorry for themselves, crying pandemic. But what do? You go out, you do your movie reviews that I follow religiously. Sometimes, most of the time you're right. Sometimes you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But still, I watch. You do your podcast, you up at 4:00 in the morning. I know that no matter what I call you at any time in the morning, I don't care. It could be 4:11. The first ring. What's up, Billy D? How you up? I was gonna leave a voicemail message. What are you doing? So you've always been that dude. Then I think that the thing that we share in common is that we in the game for what the game can do for us. We're in the game for what we can do for it. And if we love what we do, it ain't never work. My greatest asset in everything that I do is my passion and my love for the game. We got love for the game. People talking about when you're gonna retire. Retire? I've been retired since I started doing this. Yeah. I started this is my retirement job that I started when I was 28 years old. And I'm still doing it because I love it. Sure, you get goals that are lofty goals and stuff that you see other people doing that you want to do. But if you think about it, if you didn't know other people was doing other stuff, you'd be 100% happy. Like, man, I'm so happy with what I do right now. I get to go across the country. I get to make people laugh. I get to ask somebody, hey, can I come to your city and will you trust me in front of your patrons, your business people to know that I can be an asset to your particular business entity? And they go, yeah. And then they pay you money to do it. Come on, man. Ain't nothing better than that.
Yeah. What in the beginning, when you started doing comedy, what was the initial overall goal? When you got in, like, this is what I want to accomplish in this business.
I wanted to be the headliner with the white opening act and the white feature. That's what I wanted to do. And I accomplished that within the first 3 years. And I rode that bitch for the next quarter century, nigga. That's who I wanted to be.
And why was that so important? Why was that so important?
Because, like, you know, I've been a police officer before, right? So I understood the hierarchy, and I'd always seen, like, I'd never been in a work environment. I've never been in an educational environment. The only environment where I saw a hierarchy where a black man was like the shit was the church. And it was my dad. And like, but it was over all black people, and that's great. But I wanted to be the most interesting person in the room when it was all white people, just so they could see, hey man, y'all ain't doing nothing that we can't do. You aren't doing anything that we can't do. That's why everything is so important. That's why, you know, when like the recent NFL player came out, and then people were on Twitter like saying, why is it important? Why you got to say something, because if you're a marginalized community, like, you want to not only exude acceptance, but you want to say, I'm better than what you think the normal people are who do this. That gay football player is better than the other football. A lot of the football players that, of course, he's a he ain't no starter, he ain't no star or whatever, but he's in the front of a line in front of another 50,000 people who wanted to play professional football. So that's what I wanted to be, dude. I wanted to be that sojourner truth, you know, for Black comedy, because I wanted to be able to go into the belly of the beast and do my thing. I was never motivated by performing in front of Black people, because I'd done it my entire life. And I took it as a given, which was a mistake when I first started. I should have spent more time doing that. But I felt like, okay, y'all handle this over here. I got this over here. Y'all beat up whatever y'all got to beat up over here. I'm gonna handle these dudes over here, and then I handle them. But when the paradigm shifted, and then everything went back to urban comedy, I was like, you know what? I may have made a crucial error, but like you said, I got all this other stuff. You have all this other stuff, so we can still play and toy around with comedy. But what you do and where your motivation leads you, that's only gonna be stifled based on how you handle it. Ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. I don't care if we don't get but 6 views on this. It don't matter. We did it, and it's gonna be around forever.
Man, you know, it's funny you say that. It's like, I feel that, because I was talking to somebody last night, and I said, man, you know what? I said, I got to go home and study Billy D right now. I said, I don't want to disrespect him by going, oh, it's Billy, we'll just shoot the shit. I said, nah, he deserves more than that. Because if it was anybody else, I'd go home and do my homework on you. And it's like, I knew and I know, but there's so much more to you. And that was the beauty of this whole thing. I mean, and I'll bring this up now, is that we hung out. You came to Indianapolis. We hung out, which was great. Dropped you off at your hotel room. We find out that Biden won the election, and what happens an hour later? I'm on Instagram, and I get a text from you, and I go, hey, man, how about this song right here? And the song was Trump is Gone, and next thing you know, you are back in the national spotlight. How quick did that song come about? Because people don't realize, when Billy D come to town, we hang out. I mean, we're not just talking. I mean, we hang out. That's my boy. We go out to eat. We went to a movie. So that day, I think we went to an afternoon matinee, whatever. No, we went to go eat. Hung out, dropped him off. All right, man, have a good show. Okay, it's the afternoon. It was a great day, by the way.
And we're literally like that when we leave each other. You know, all right, okay, all right, man. I see you, bro. All right, man. Next time. Yeah.
I drop him off, and I swear, it's not more than an hour. I get a text. Oh, it's Billy D. Trump is gone. and next thing you know, he's literally on the national radar. He's on talk shows, whatever. How quick did that song come about?
Bruh, it came. I actually did a raw version of it and sent it to George Wallace. And you remember how pissed off I was about it that day?
Yes.
And George didn't tell me that he was sending it out to people. So George sent the raw version of it out to Earthquake. And then Earthquake put it up on his platform. And then somebody tagged me in it. And the first time they tagged me in it, it had like 98,000 views. And I was like, God damn, that's crazy. And then so I told somebody else about it, like maybe 2 hours later. And then I checked on it again, and it had over 1 million just in that point of time. So then we went to the studio. Then we did it again. I just think that song, that Trump is Gone song, first of all, it's like a gospel romp. It has
Yes.
like gospel stuff. It has blues stuff. And
Yeah.
then, we did it. I did it with a famous gospel singer, Sean McLemore. I did it with nephew Tommy from the Steve Harvey Morning Show. This kid, Phil Wade, and everybody. We just embodied that movement, and then and it just everything just fit. And I think that I think it really appealed to like older Black people. Like this was the song. Somebody said this to me, and I agree with them. This is the like typically like you have like the viral stuff that kids share with their parents.
Yes.
But I think this was a song that parents shared with their kids. Yes. And then that's when they pushed it out there. Yeah, man. And I was supposed to be on MSNBC and all this sort of stuff, and that never happened, which is cool. 10 years ago, I would have been destroyed by it. They would call me at the last minute after I'd already set up all this shit. They were like, no, we're not going to do it because of the Capitol riots. They thought, well, because of the Capitol riots, we're not going to do it because we don't want to, further exacerbate whatever this energy is. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But Kari Champion from ESPN, her and Jamel Hill, they was like, man, we ain't scared. We gonna put it on. So they opened their show with it. They choreographed a dance to it. They talked about it. Kari said, my good friend Billy D. Washington, after only having met me one time. And then, it was cool. But it got over 100 million interactions, and it went viral as freak. And I didn't make a dime, just in case you're curious.
Are you serious?
Nothing. Bro,
Why?
I have nothing.
Why?
I don't know. I'm waiting on that check. I talked to my people, my people, and they're like, yeah, man, it just takes a while for the, everything to filter through and whatever.
It's got to go through the pipeline.
I got
got to go through the pipeline.
Yeah. And I got my little residual check this month from my record company. It's $183. I'm like, bro, this got over 100 million interactions. What is going on? So anyway, but I ain't gonna be negative. But yeah, man, it's I didn't do it for the money. I did it because my parents were upset and they thought that Trump was gonna win. And I just got on the piano and I played the song to them and I sent them the video. And then when Biden won, my dad said to me, hey man, you should send that song to somebody, because people are gonna want to hear that song. I'm like, Daddy, don't nobody want to hear this song. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what, Daddy, somebody might want to hear this song. So then I sent it to a few of my friends, and then whatever, and then
and so on.
That third day, my phone was ringing off the hook. That your video has gone viral when people send it to you, not even knowing that you're in it.
Wow. I never thought about that, but wow.
Yeah. People were sending me that song and didn't even know it was me.
You're the cult classic, man. I mean, seriously, you're that one-hit wonder, man. But I mean, I say that, but that's kind of a disrespect because you're more than one-hit wonder. But to the outside world, you're one-hit wonder. But to me, come on now. I mean, I know you. So has it ever bothered you a little bit that? And I asked this other comment. I don't mean I didn't mean no disrespect. Has it ever bothered you that you're not bigger than what you are? That the rest of the world doesn't know who you are? Because like I said, I know what you do and I've seen what you do. And like I said, that song, 100 million views, okay? And then you, like I said, with the plays and the short films, and you were a VJ on VH1. You were out there. You did Def Jam. You've done it all. And I literally, as far as versatility, there's no one in Hollywood, period. You're definitely in the top 10 easily of versatility. So when you look at it and you navigate your way through this show business, which is a son of a bitch, but we chose this profession. Does it bother you sometimes? You go, man, I kind of wish that, or like everybody knew who I was, or maybe monetarily. Does that bother you? Whatever, or stick to your craw like it does me sometimes.
It used to. No, it used to. It used to. But when I start to see like the older you get, and I'm not gonna name names, but when you see people that have these peaks in their career, but then they can't handle the valley. Like we were together, and I'm not going to mention a name because I have too much respect for him. We were together when a comedian that we both love and respect was found hanged in his closet. He killed himself. We were together. Yeah. There are people that, you see them up here and you think that they doing this, that, and the third. You see them on TV and they whatever. But dude, but behind the back, people that know that they getting cars repossessed, they losing their homes, they're this. So Hollywood and superstardom is basically a facade. And as long as you're happy, as long as I can keep these bills paid, BT, I got 4 years ago on my house. I just bought my wife a new car. I put 2 kids through college. I did all this. If somebody said, would you exchange that for taking a chance on like living in LA, do or die, and whatever, even if I gave you even if I put the odds in your favor, would you exchange it? And that answer is no, every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I'm happy with my life, man. Would it have been great for me to be like some household name and some big celebrity with millions of followers and whatever? Of course. But without that, dude, I am still complete, man. I'm happy. I'm working in my craft. I'm making enough money to put food on the table, save a little money, and vacation every now and then. And if that's all it's going to be, bruh, I'm good.
How long did it take to get to that point? To like, there's a line in a Bob Seger song when he goes, and you realize you just don't need it all. You just don't need it all. So when did you get to that point where you go, okay, I'm cool? That point of like, all right, okay, I'm good. Like to where you are now. Is it like age? Is it maturity? Or is it just, or was it a certain event that happened that made you take a step back and go, okay?
It just like when I look at other people who have, like, not every example, like there's some people that do well and they have great lives outside of show business. But, first, okay, so a lot of times people say comedians go to, like a lot of LA comics say, comedians go to cruise ships. The cruise ships are the place that comedians' career go to die, right?
Yes. Yeah, I was going to get to that, but I'm glad you touched it. Yes.
But there are a lot more dead careers in LA than there are on cruise ships.
Yes.
Quote me on that.
Yes.
Because, but it's all relative. Like, I'm not working in the spotlight, but I'm still blessed to be able to work in front of thousands of people every week for a wage that I'm happy with. To be able to do what I do, to be able to write stuff. I just sold this project to BET that's going to air on August the 11th. It's a short film of mine called The Pillowcase. Hey, man, I didn't go to writing school. I don't have a degree in any of that stuff. I didn't really grind in order to get that opportunity. So I'm pretty sure that there's some people that are grinding and that have been writing a lot longer than I have that ain't get what I got. This just kind of happened because I knew somebody that knew of this project and somebody that they knew liked it because it appealed to something that they like and they were in position of power and they bought it. That's how Hollywood happens. It ain't never up to us, B. It's never up to us. All we can be is the best person we can be and allow our peers to say, when you ask me, hey man, does it bother you or that you didn't make it? It's enough for me because that says to me that my peers think that I should be that dude. If my peers think it, then that's what it was supposed to be. And then that means that it wasn't up to us because I feel the same way about you. I'll be looking going, man, dude, you're doing it. Like, I've never been in front of the camera guy, but you were in front of the camera guy when you were in your 30s, when you were in your 40s, when you were in your 50s, and now in your
You motherfucker, that was slick. I like that.
But what I'm saying is, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Clearly you're only 59. But what I'm saying is that it's like, dude, you are still a dude it can still happen for you tomorrow. And that's a blessing. You're keeping your weight down, you still look good. Hey man, how many of these dudes can say that? I can name off a dozen comedians that hit that spot, that did their HBO specials, they had their sitcoms, they did this, they did that in the third, and in 1993, and in 2002, and in 2007, and where they at now? Brother, they gone, they're broke, they're homeless, they're begging, not all of them, but for the most part, they still schlepping around in LA, calling me up. Hey man, how do I get on cruise ships?
Yeah.
So, no, dude, I mean, if we've navigated to this point, BT, I think we've won. And I mean, everybody ain't gonna be Kevin Hart. Everybody ain't gonna be I mean, where's John Hinton, who I'd love to see a special from now, but where is he right now?
Yeah.
Super talented dude. Is he just living off of those checks or whatever? That dude was on top of the world. Where is he? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we still in the game. People still watching. People still doing stuff. I can go to the open mic. I'm gonna just for the sake of doing it, I'm doing a retirement home next month. It's gonna be the week of July 20th.
Yeah.
And that same week, I'm gonna do an open mic and I'm gonna rip that shit up on both gigs. Yeah. And I'm gonna talk about it on Facebook. I can't wait, just because we have that range. Ain't gonna take no preparation. I'm going to the open mic. I'm gonna rip it. I'm gonna go to this old folks home and I'm gonna rip that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be it's the same shit.
No, hey, don't rip too hard at the old folks home. Hey, you want to kill, but you don't want to kill. Yeah, man. But no, dude, it's all God. It's all the universe. And like for any young creatives, like members of your staff and your producers and whatever, bro, I mean, as long as you're living like your gift, as long as you're living your gift, and whether you believe in the Bible, I think it's one of the most philosophical mechanisms in the history of mankind. The Bible says that your hard work will make room for your gift. And I believe that if you keep working hard, it'll make room for your gift. It didn't say it's gonna make room for your budget, but it'll make room for you. But it'll make. I love it. And
but it said it'll make room for your gift.
And you know, it's funny, man. There's a conversation we had, and actually I used it last night in open mic, and it always comes back to you. And you know, it's like, you know, your father was a pastor, and you play in the church, and you know, the religion plays a big part in your life.
Right.
And I just remember, and I find myself questioning in religion more. And I hate that I'm bringing this up now that, you know, it's coming to an end, but it's like, I've always been like, blacks have, you know, not even stereotypically, but we've gone to church, 83%, we're the largest race of people that goes to church on the regular. 83% of us are regular church going. And my whole thing is, I'm questioning that in my real life, so I'm trying to get into comedy. But I remember we had this conversation, and I was like, you know, like, it would make more sense if blacks were atheists than going to, because I as a group, I've never saw religion as a group for black people working. I mean, individually, I see it. Individually, I see that. I mean, if you just go, oh God, you know, like you said, you work hard, something's gonna happen, I believe that. But as a group, I just never saw it. And to me, what I thought was the funniest thing was you go, no, religion was what, they got the slaves through slavery. And I was like, you know, that's a bad example, Billy. You know, I mean,
No, but they had to believe in something. They had to believe in something.
But it didn't work out for them, though. I mean, if they believed in God.
But there's no metric. There's no solid metric to support either. You can't say, so we don't know God because we never met him, or we never not met him, and we don't know that he's responsible for it, or we don't know that he wasn't responsible for it. Even though it's especially in Texas, because it was 2 years later, you know, shout out to Juneteenth, but we don't know. Let me just say, okay, so we've had this conversation, and if you want to edit this and cut out some of the other shit I said, I want to say this because I want to.
Man, this is
okay, because I want to say this. Okay, sure. Like, I believe in God, like all the other Christian stuff and whatever, and I believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus was this man like Martin Luther King. I believe he died for what he believed in. And as far as all the supernatural stuff, you know, I'm neither yay or nay on that. You know, that's for other people to do. This is where I look at the Bible. I look at the Bible like this. The Bible is like a menu. You go to a restaurant, nobody just like takes the whole fucking menu and orders the whole menu and go, yeah, when I digest all this, then I'm gonna feel better about myself. It never happens. What you should do is just go through, pick out that stuff that's good for you, like these philosophies. Like I'm doing this bit right now about my son. My son is like, I need to get my social media numbers up. He's like, Daddy, you need more followers. I'm like, well, son, Jesus had 12 followers and he's still trending. So, you know, it's like you pick out the stuff that you need for whatever particular thing that you need to do. But just like a restaurant menu, like, dude, eat what you're gonna eat, digest what you're gonna digest. But the problem with Christianity is what they like to do is they want to eat what they eat, but when they walk out of the restaurant, they want to criticize what everybody else is eating. And that's the problem.
That's beautiful.
Then that's the problem that we run into, because in church, man, you hate to, like I listen to a lot of sermons when I drive. I love listening to sermons because I love the rhythm of it and the vibe of it because it reminds me of my childhood. It takes me back to all those days I went to church and whatever. But when you start to listen to people, like especially black preachers to black congregations, dude, they sound like bad sports radio hosts. It's like, okay, we're on the same team, but we're going to talk shit about them for 30 minutes. And then at the end of the day, you're going to say, come back and listen the next time we talk shit about them. Then why do I want to listen to this? And then they wonder, and then, but the motto is Joel Osteen. But ain't nobody, Joel Osteen talks about positivity. He talks about being a better person. He talks about you can mess up, you can be forgiven. He writes books based on, he does a sermon, and then he makes a book with that exact sermon. He's a gazillionaire, made all this money, made all these people happy. But black preachers are still like, well, you know, Joel Osteen ain't this, that, the third. Dude, this is the model. People want to feel good about themselves.
Yes.
First and foremost, you ain't got to criticize me and tell me what I'm not doing right and all this kind of stuff, man. Hey, let me pick what I'm gonna pick from that menu and let me be cool with it. Whatever you pick from your menu, I'm good with. I'm not gonna criticize you about it when I walk out the door. But whatever I want in terms of that, if we try to digest the whole menu, hey, bro, it's some stuff we're on fool with, but that don't mean we gonna dismiss the whole menu. There's some things on that menu that we can use, man. Even if it's Psalms. You know, you read Psalms, man. Psalms has some of the most profound, like life quotes and stuff that and motivational philosophy that you can read anywhere. That's just one book. Like some of the other stuff, you know, like the Better the Whale and all that kind of shit, man. You know, whatever. But I mean, no shade to Jonah. If Jonah's family listening, you know, shout out. But I'm saying is, it's like, you know, it's like, but if you just listen, like just certain things, like your hard work will make room for your gift.
Yes.
Dude, I got that. That's straight from the Bible. And that's true.
Yes.
And when I say, it didn't say it's going to make room for your budget. It didn't say that. It said it's going to make room for your gift. You're gifted in what you do, bro. You this pandemic, you've created you've expanded your brand to a point where a lot of people have it. And trust me, people are watching you and they're hating. You know, you're in a studio, bro. You're not in your basement, you know, with some kind of, you know, with a Radio Shack mic that you bought when Radio Shack was open. Bro, you on there with a solid mic, with a beautiful landscape behind you, you know, some dude in the periphery operating a camera. You got another dude wide sending me emails for the thing. You got a whole thing going on right now, man. And what's happened? Your hard work has made room for this gift that you are portraying right here and that you do, I don't know, a couple times a week, every week and whatever, but that's just one of the gifts. And you got all this other stuff. So do I look back and go, do I wonder why I'm not a bigger deal and whatever? No, man, because I might not be a bigger deal to other people, but to Billy D. Washington, man, I'm a big fucking deal.
You are. I mean, honestly, yeah. And people can take that how they want to take it, but the fact that I've seen you work, and I still say the many times we worked together with the Sell Out Comedy Tour, which I think is still one of the greatest comedy tours around, because we went against type, and it was success. But saying that, and I've watched you perform every night, and it was always a little bit different. But what was the greatest night I've ever seen you, for some reason, was that night in Indianapolis in Morty's. You just stood there, you had the mic like this, and it was bop, and it was so beautiful to watch. And I think that was the greatest thing about that tour, that it was like everybody had four black men never overlapped in material. 4 black headliners who have at least 2 to 3 hours of material, and we never overlapped. They're like, hey, man, could you not do this joke because I do it? We never did that. We never.
Yeah.
And watching you and your versatility, when you go, you know what? I'm going to play piano tonight. Or the piano be set up, you go, you know what? I'm just going to tell jokes tonight. And it was so beautiful. And as I close out, when I close out this, I'm gonna ask you of all the things you've done with like I said, being a head writer for an award show, to winning accolades with your short films, to co-hosting VH1, to doing stand-up on late night. What to you at this moment in life, at this moment in time, because man, you ain't showing no signs of slowing down at all. At this stage, so far, what's been your crowning achievement that you go, yeah, okay, I did that shit?
The crowning achievement was circa 1983. I went to Cashmere Senior High School. Mm-hmm. Cashmere High School was known for their jazz band. Mm-hmm. We had a a band director that was literally an abuser.
Mm-hmm.
Like he beat us with paddles and whatever. Where I lived in a South that was even 20 years removed from Jim Crow. Uh, I played instruments. I played piano. I played trombone. I played tuba. Uh, and so there was this jazz competition that no other jazz band had ever gone to. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They'd never done it. We never do it. They never did it because they'd never let the black, even though the black bands were superior, they never won because of that bullshit. Nobody in the band wanted to go. I wanted to go just because we were so good and I knew that we were going to win. My band director didn't want to go. I gathered a few nerds on my side and we did some other stuff. We wanted to play some pro charts. There was a song called 0 Point that nobody wanted to play. For a whole summer, we rehearsed 0 Point. There was this thing that I learned how to play this solo on a tuba on a song. And I played keyboard in the jazz band too. I wasn't the main keyboard player. I was the first trombone player. Okay, so fast forward. So we go through all this stuff. We weren't supposed to be there. I was bullied in high school. Like didn't have a name. I was always small for I was small for my age until I got like my first year in college. And that's when I grew up. Got beat up, no respect. Played the piano. People called me the F word. And I could say it because it applied to me. They would call me faggot all the time because it applied to me. Because I didn't have girlfriends. I was corny, had glasses and shit. None of the stuff. I wasn't cool. Right. Nothing. Right. They hated me. I hated me. The whole thing. 1983. It was at the North Shore Jazz Competition. All white bands there, and the only black band was there was HSPVA, which was the Performing Arts School. They didn't let them compete because they were a performing arts school. We weren't. We had classes and whatever, but they were still there. We go up and do our thing. They turned off our mics. The trumpet player got up. He played 0 Point. There was solo. I'm gonna finish the story in a second. There was a solo that was so he blew through the horn and he blew so hard until his lip busted and blood came out of the beginning of the tip of the horn. Wow. I get up. They turn my mic off and I'm playing the tuba solo, and they turned the mic off. And it was so loud without it until people started to stand up. They stood up and they started clapping because they'd never seen anybody do jazz tuba before. Played the trombone solo, played the dance solo, whatever. Nobody wanted to go. So they started announcing awards and stuff, right? So my band director was upset because he said, man, I knew we shouldn't do this bullshit because they weren't announcing no black people to win nothing. All these white people there, whatever. The other bandmates, it was on a Saturday, they would rather be somewhere else. This whole shit, this is a citywide jazz competition. They get to all-star musician. One of my guys got the all-star award. Everybody was happy. We were like, okay, at least we got something. So then they announced the winners. Third place was a white school. Second place was a white school. We wouldn't even have in the building. Some was outside. First place was Cashmere Senior High School. We were like, oh my God, we won this shit. But then they announced they had another award for most outstanding musician for the whole festival. Mind you, it was a 2-day event, 60, 70 bands from all over Texas, hundreds, if not thousands of musicians. They announced third place, they announced second place, and the first place trophy for the most outstanding musician in the Coca-Cola Jazz competition in 1983 was Billy D. Washington. So no matter what I do for the rest of my career, what I've ever done in my comedy career, that is going to be the moment of my entertainment career that I remember forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, brother.
Yeah.
I didn't even
I barely got through that. That's the only story that I can't get through without crying. Dude, I barely got through it.
That just sent cheer. I mean, bottom of my heart. I got goosebumps, bro. Cause I never heard this story before. Wow. And I know. Yeah. I mean, you say 1983. I know the mentality then, and in Texas, then I know that mentality. So right. I know what you went through, and for you to do, man, God damn, man, that's beautiful, brother.
Yeah, and it's funny, that's the moment.
And it's funny that we ended with that because I was trying to get to it and I couldn't, and I wanted to tell the people who've never seen you, watching Billy D is like comedy. If jazz was comedy and comedy were jazz, that's what Billy D is. It's like laughing to jazz. And that's what you are.
I appreciate that, bro.
No, I mean that from the bottom. I've always said that. I mean, Billy D is jazz, man. You watch Billy, he's got that smooth vibe. I mean, I can see you. I can see it. It's in a nightclub or whatever, and it's got those nice velvet, like big boots, velvety, and you got a nice little thing of wine, and you're just watching you go on stage and that smooth delivery that you have, and you're just sipping the wine and laughing. You got to wait because you don't want to drink while you're hitting that punchline. The wine's gonna come out, and that's Billy because he will make you laugh that hard. So that's what
Yeah.
you are. You got okay. He's done with the punchline. Let me get this sip of wine in because it's gonna come out. So, dude, I can't begin to say thank you enough. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Like I said, I didn't want to disrespect you by going, man, that's my dude. That's my dude right there. Nah. You deserve that respect, Billy. You are one of the most versatile artists in the game today in show business. So, man, I appreciate you. If you guys get a chance, go to Instagram at Billy D. Washington. Download Trump is Gone. It's it's a funny song. Man, I can't give you enough accolades. There's not enough superlatives to describe you. So, Billy, I want to thank you for being on the show, brother. Thank you for being a friend, and just thank you for all that you've done for the entertainment community, brother. I mean that.
Yeah, bro. Well, game recognizes game, homeboy. So how much respect I have for you, and just like every time we hook up, and whatever, we at the end of this interview, and I'll say, man, parting is such sweet sorrow.
Thank you, B. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, thank you, everybody, for watching Tales from the Gym, and I hope you enjoyed it. And like I say around this time, you know the word, purr.